Welcome to the Up Arrow Podcast with William Harris, featuring top business leaders sharing strategies and resources to get to the next level. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everybody, William Harris here. I'm the founder and CEO of Element and the host of this podcast where I'm helping e-commerce brands scale from 10 million to 100 million by interviewing the brightest minds in D2C. We also have a little fun on this show and get deep into the personal side as well, so it's going to be a fun one. Today, I have a special guest, Michael Siegel. Michael is the co-founder and co-CEO of Decocrated, the #1 home decor subscription box in the US. And he's an integral part of the Stratton Home Decor team with over 26 years experience in the home decor industry. Leveraging his extensive experience and creativity, he has played a vital role in Decocrated's success, earning recognition such as the 2023 SUBDA Award winner, the best subscription box in the US. Outside of his professional life, Michael enjoys traveling with his family, playing pickleball and golf, and volunteering, all while drawing inspiration from the world around him to create beautiful and functional spaces. Spaces? It sounds like I'm going into like my Sean Connery mode there. I don't know what that was. Michael, welcome.
How you doing? Welcome. Nice to be on your show and really appreciate you reaching out. Thank you.
Yeah, well, and I was thinking about, Jan Koch is actually the one who introduced us. He's, for those who don't know, the founder of K Consult. They do generative AI strategy. And I've worked with Jan for, it's got to be, more than a decade on a bunch of WordPress sites and things over the years. And so he's been somebody that I've considered to be a friend and partner on a lot of things. And I remember he put us in touch actually years ago to talk through some stuff. And it was kind of fun to reconnect with you here recently.
Yeah, Jan's been very helpful to us. Just to give you a little backstory and to give your listeners a little backstory about pitfalls of how you start out different platforms, technologies. So we had a WordPress site for e-commerce. That's how we started. That's how lack of knowledge we had when we started this. So we started on WordPress and started with a company that was local in South Florida, and they recommended that to us. And they also handled digital marketing for us too. And we just got into a pickle with this company. And I found Jan. I'm trying to remember how I found him. Somewhere on the internet, probably Googled WordPress help, and he popped up.
Sure.
And I met Jan, and the guy is amazing. He stepped right in, helped us tremendously. He did over and above what he had to do, and he really saved us at the very beginning when we were scaling fast and we had no idea what we were doing at the beginning. So he was a big help. Yeah,
I agree. Jan has been there numerous times for me as well on various companies, even some stuff that we had over at GoDaddy. And I can't sing praises enough for him. Michael, I'm excited to dig into a little bit more about the background and backstory of kind of how you ended up where you are. Before I do want to announce our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Element. Element is an award-winning advertising agency optimizing e-commerce campaigns around profit. In fact, we've helped 13 of our customers get acquired, with the larger one selling for nearly $800 million, one that was sold to GoDaddy, and one that recently IPO'd. And we were ranked the 12th fastest growing agency in the world by Adweek. You can learn more on our website at element.com, which is spelled ELUMYNT.com. That said, enough of the boring stuff, on to the good stuff. You won Best Subscription in the U.S. From the SUBDA subscription make. That's a big award. Congratulations, first of all, by the way. And I think a lot of people want to know, what would this what was the backstory to even starting Decocrated to begin with, and how did you end up where you are now today?
I want to start out and say that, William, your accomplishments, by the way, are amazing. So you should be proud of yourself too. So how did we start?
Oh, thank you.
I've been in the business since 1997. We took over a very small mom and pop, domestically made picture frame company. Contracts. We did hotels. We did local furniture stores, and we made mirrors and artwork and canvas and stuff like that. And scaled that up into a supplier for national hotels. We were preferred vendors for Marriott, Extended Stay America. We were on the list with Hilton. And we did that for many, many years and scaled that business up as well. Kind of pivoted over to big box retail, got into big stores, like the stores you would see driving down any town, from the Rosses to the Burlingtons to Kohl's. The Michael stores, got into all those stores before the internet really was a thing. And then I'd say about, we kept an eye on what was going on. And I'd say about 2009, started getting into e-commerce, got onto Amazon, Wayfair, started to grow that business, got on Kohl's.com, Bed Bath, all the different accounts like that, and really scaled up the business during that time. Many, many years later, got into subscription business. We had a lot of team members that were talking about Stitch Fix and FabFitFun, and we were like, and Ipsy and BoxyCharm, and we had we're in a design business, and a lot of people who, those subscription box appealed to. And they were talking about them, and my partner and I, a little on the older side, were like, "What's all the buzz? What's all this?" And they're like, "Oh, you pay for a subscription, and then they send you stuff." And we're like, "They send you random stuff, and you keep it?" They're like, "Yeah, it's great. It's like Christmas. It's like Christmas every day, or every quarter, or every month." And I'm like, "That sounds interesting. Is anybody doing that for home decor?" They're like, "I don't think so." My partner and I we're sitting, we're kind of brainstorming. We're like, "Yeah, we could do that." And that was in 2017, and we launched a box. Well, did a lot of research first. The backstory is that we went out and we had the team collect like 10 different companies, and we brought them all in. So we looked at the packaging. We looked at when you open the box, what did it make you feel like? We had a whole team of people. We did like our own internal research and gave them questionnaires. What did you like about the packaging? What was the experience when you opened the box? What was in the box that got you excited? Would you buy the box again? And we just picked some of the nicer subscription boxes that were at the time. FabFitFun, and they're still obviously huge company. BoxyCharm, and a few others that I don't know if they're in business anymore, so I won't name them. But we took all that research and ran it through our heads. It wasn't like super analytical, scientific. We're like, okay, it's got to be a nice box. It's got to have a good experience when you open a box. It's got to be packaged well inside the box. It's got to be something in the box that's going to appeal to a lot of people, not this niche or that niche or that niche. It's got to appeal to kind of a mass audience. So when you're set up your marketing, that you are appealing to the biggest audience you possibly can. Our products in the past have always appealed in that respect because of the customers that we've worked with. When you're dealing with big box retail and chain e-commerce sites, your designs are not niche. They're pretty broad. So we kind of stick to that modern farmhouse, and we just dove into it. We said, okay, we're going to do this, and we sat there with a list of like names that we were going to use for the company. It's this name and that name, and then I don't know who came up with this name, Decocrated, but as soon as we heard it, it was like, that's it. That's the name. It's decor and a crate. I think we had to use crate loosely. It's a box, but
sure, yeah.
But it worked, and we stuck with it, and that's kind of how we jumped into it. We really didn't overthink whether or not we could do it. So I know you have a lot of people listening who are early stages.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know if it's going to work out, whatever. But we didn't think we didn't think about failing. We just said we can do this, and none of us had any digital marketing experience. None of us had any subscription box experience. We were all retail focused. What we were is salespeople, product people, and customer service people.
Yeah.
It's not much different when you're dealing with e-com. You make a good product, you have a good service, and you deliver on time, you're going to win the buy box. You're going to win whatever it is that you're competing against, as long as you take care of your customer. And we always have, throughout our history, taken care of our customer, provided good product, good quality. And I think that just works no matter what you do.
You touched on a lot of good topics there. Before I go into some of the real follow-up, I was thinking about, you mentioned farmhouse and, farmhouse chic and modern farmhouse. And you would have been right through the, the fixer-upper days then as well when this was going on. Did that help or hurt your business? Like, did it take too much away, or did you think that it brought a whole bunch of people in and they're like, oh yeah, this is great?
I think the fixer-upper, Joanna Gaines, Magnolia, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's built this massive thing. Yes. So we started before she even was on in a national scope. I think Oprah found her and just shed a light on her. I think that we coincided years ago with the birth of all the TV stations, HGTV, the trading spaces. I think that has tremendously helped launch and take the home decor market to whole new heights. Because before that, I'm a little older, so I remember growing up at my house, nothing changed in my house from the time I was.
Sure.
I remember at 6 till I graduated high school and went to college. Nothing changed on the wall, and I think that's how it was in all my friends' houses too.
That's now, like my mom's house. I can go there. It's still the exact same it was when I left, I think. Yeah.
The only people that I knew that did stuff were like, they had interior designers, and they would come in and you got to get new blinds and you got to get new curtains and, flooring and all that stuff. I think that all of those shows, and I think that all of that has spawned a whole industry of people who can say, you know what, I want to try that for myself. I watched it on TV. I want to try that for myself. I think that home decor has just continued to escalate up as an industry, and people are taking on the challenge and saying, hey, I could do that. And people are doing that. And I think that's what we try to tap into with the subscription box.
Yeah. When you mentioned taking care of the customer as being one of the keys. And so if I was going to think about this, there's a lot of things that you had already in place that were really good. Like you said, you already had good products. You already had knowledgeable team. You already had retail experience. There was a lot of things in your favor. The new part then was the digital side of this. But one thing that's true across both of these is knowing your customer. And you mentioned that knowing your customer, taking care of the customer as being one of the biggest keys for this. How did you go about using the knowledge of your customer to grow this brand to what it is today?
I think we had a reverse edge. I'll explain that for a second. Most e-commerce brands today, they launch e-commerce first and they try to get into retail, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to crack into retail if you're not an established company. So I am used to working directly with the buyer. It's meetings, it's face-to-face, it's communication. And I'm used to, when you're dealing with buyers in big box retailers, they're very demanding. They're as demanding, and they should be, as customers who, one-off customer who lives here.
Sure.
So our team and our culture is used to trying to make the customer happy. Whether you have one big customer or thousands of individual customers, if somebody from where you're from, Minnesota, writes in, I had a terrible experience. It's one customer. They spent a couple $100. We take it personally. We read the review. We read the email and go, what did we do wrong? Because the culture is so used to dealing with a customer. Now, when you're dealing with a retailer, you could be talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you don't want that customer to be upset. We feel the same way about each one of our customers. So I think we had a little bit of a reverse advantage to today because we were so in tune with what, we don't want to let people down. I guess that's the word.
Yeah.
So we take that in the back. We don't want to let people down. Just kind of use that throughout. So whether it's putting more stuff in a box, so it's less margin, but, making the box better. Whether it's, they got it damaged and replacing it right away, whether they lost a box and they can't prove it. So what? Get them another box. All the little stuff that you have to do in retail, or whether you have a store at a strip mall that you want to make people happy. We did the same. Done, and still doing the same thing with our customers today.
Yeah. So how do you know which customer feedback to listen to and which not to? Because I would say that one of the quotes that I like from Henry Ford, different Ford, is the idea. It's like, if I would have given the people what they wanted, I would have given them a faster horse or something to that effect, right? And so there's sometimes where somebody might be asking for something, and that might be 1% of the people that are asking for it. But if you did take that feedback and apply it to all the rest of the boxes, you would alienate the other 99% of the people who liked it the way that it was. How do you evaluate which feedback to listen to and which one to pass on for the time being, or figure out later on how to deal with it?
It's a great question, and something it took a little bit of getting used to is the feedback, because when you're working with a retailer, you're getting feedback from a person or two people. When you're working with direct to consumer, you're getting feedback from 1,000 people. So you can look at it and say, overreact. One person over here wants it this way, and one person over here didn't like this. I will admit that in the very beginning of doing this, because we're so reactionary to our customers, large customers, there was a little bit of an overreaction. We're going to pivot, we're going to change, we're going to modify. But once you start really digging into it, and you end up realizing that you want to stick to what your strengths are as a company. And if your strength is X, stick with it, because you're going to find the people that like X.
Yeah.
If somebody over here wants Z and it just doesn't fit what you're doing, okay, you're not going to go and pivot over here. And you can't pivot for every one of your customers. But I will tell you that we took a lot of surveys. We still take a lot of surveys. We read them thoroughly, and the surveys had comments. And you find 3 people that didn't like your booklet, or 3 people didn't like the package. Like, you start panicking, like, oh, and then you got to take a deep breath, and you just, okay, we're doing a good job. People, majority of people like what you're doing. You can't build a business around the very small minority of people who don't like this or don't like that, because if you start doing that, you're going to chase your tail, and then you're going to spiral out. And I would say that over the last couple of years, we've kind of stuck to our core of who we are. And I think that's when we started to kind of relax a little bit and say, okay, we know what we're doing. We know the customer's going to like this. Do we hit it out of the park every single time? No, but for the most part, we stick to what we want, who we are. We listen to the customers, and we've got a path, a formula, and you just stick with it.
Yeah. What about tools? Are there tools that you're using? You mentioned, doing polls. Is there an app that you use for that? Or what kind of tools are you using for gathering up the reviews or polls or getting that feedback in a place where you can use it?
Every season we send out Typeform. And we used to use SurveyMonkey. I think we're using Typeform now to send out the reviews through email and gather the data. We crunch it. The team crunches it up. We have a review after every season. So we have 4 boxes a year, 4 seasons a year,
Sure.
and the holiday boxes, and they get surveys as well. So we get 8 surveys, and we get a pretty good response. And we offer money prizes for people who sign up and give away money. We feel like the surveys really help us, and we appreciate everybody that fills out a survey because they take a couple of minutes to fill out. So, and we respect their time, and we love that they do it. And we have also learned over time the right questions to ask.
Sure.
And modify questions. You don't start out perfectly in your surveys. You ask your 10 questions, and then you're like, I didn't really get what I needed. You add a question, you get rid of a question. So after 4 or 5 years, you hope that you have the right questions that you're asking. But it takes time to ask the right questions to get the right information.
What's an example of some of the questions that you've gotten rid of over the years where you say, oh, that question is pointless?
Very vague questions. I'm just trying to think of like, oh, what do you think of our box?
Yeah.
Rate the box at a scale of 1 to 5. I think that was one of our first questions. If people don't, you got to get into the nitty gritty. Like you got to break it down. What do you think of this piece? What do you think of that piece? What do you think of this? What do you think of the experience? I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure we had very generic questions that were completely useless that got us a 5-star rating out of 5. And we're like, well, this is great. And then somebody in the office goes, what do they really mean by that?
Right.
What does the 5-star rating really mean? What are we getting from that? So you dial into that question, you go, okay, we're really not getting anything out of it except a 5-star rating. We can pat ourselves on the back, but we know there were people that didn't like X, Y, and Z. So I dig deeper, and I can't remember the specifics, but you just
that's good. The vagueness of it is you're like, get specific about it so that way you actually have something that you can action against. Yeah,
like asking people where did they find us from without giving them any options. Like there was no boxes.
Open-ended.
Open-ended. Like, and we didn't give them like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google. It was just like, you write it in. And they were like, I don't remember. So you didn't get a lot of responses from that. So vague questions, you want to dial in and get like a little bit more specific.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I imagine that, like you just said, this is a very good way for you to understand your customer. And it certainly helps you to retain your customers over a longer period of time, which is going to increase the LTV, which is a huge component of the subscription business. Are there other things, though, that you've found that help you to increase the LTV and keep your customers around?
Yes. So with our subscription, we have additional types of products. We have additional boxes. People love a subscription box, but they also they tend to ingratiate themselves with the brand if there's more things being offered. Subscription today, in a lot of cases, you start out with an e-commerce site and then you turn into doing a subscription, whether it's like, I know the guys at Obvi that do the protein powders and stuff like that. You take a one-time purchase and you add it in the subscription. It's a great way to get coffee, things like that. We're the reverse. You gotta buy the subscription, but if you buy the subscription, we have these exclusive add-on boxes for the holidays, and we limit the quantity, not the quality, and make them, like FOMO, like you're going to run out. We're going to sell out in a week. So we do that with Halloween, Christmas, Easter, and New Americana, like 4th of July patriotic box. We also have launched this year our Luxe box collection. Got a lot of feedback from people about elevated items in their boxes. Couldn't exactly launch a box that cost the price point of the Luxe box as a subscription, but it's a one-time box purchase and it's a few $100s, but you're getting bigger, larger pieces and you can do more of the room. They love that. We added the Luxe collection into our members shop. We offer members discount versus the public buying the same product. That all helps with the LTV. Right now we're doing a big Labor Day sale, and Labor Day sale is just the shop. So if you want to round out your fall collection, you go in there and buy Halloween pieces and fall pieces. In a month, you're going to see Christmas and winter. So constantly giving people a reason to come back to your shop. That's one huge way to get LTV and continue to get people staying with your company. You got to find that ancillary revenue.
So what about the flip side now? If I go back to the beginning, one thing that I've seen, people who especially come from a retail background can sometimes struggle to acquire those customers in the first place when they're online then, right? They're very used to maybe the right product shoots for a catalog or for a buyer, and it's very different oftentimes to acquire a customer from a D2C perspective. How did you break through that? Like, are there things that you found helped you to start that momentum of acquiring customers online? And then what helped to accelerate that?
Yeah. So early on, we strategically built a community, a private Facebook community, and really encouraged people to join that. So we did a lot of, we did ads and emails to get people into the funnel to join the community, to see what being a Decocrated, which is a takeoff of Decocrated. A Decocrated means that you are somebody that, wants to tackle decorating yourself, right? And to join our communities. We have 3 communities that we built from day one. Probably, I would say 1 from day one, 2 pretty quickly, and a 3rd because of the necessity and people asked for it. So Sure. Building up these communities, it's like a soft, hey, I'm going to dip my toe into the water and see what these guys are all about, see what they're doing, see how other people react to the brand. I think building a community is a big deal. And you see that a lot with today, it's like these influencers who are got 1 million people following them. Now they're launching brands. So complete reverse. They've got the audience, they're launching a brand. We had the brand, we needed an audience. So we encourage people to join our communities, get them in the funnel that way. Obviously, we started out 5 years ago. Facebook was a lot cheaper, a lot easier to grab customers. Email wasn't overly saturated at that point. SMS was just starting out. It was first viewed as obtrusive and don't touch me, don't talk to me. Now people don't mind it as much. So I would say building a community really helped us, and building up the following on Facebook and Instagram in the early days, and putting content up that was about home decor, about life, about what our demographic may struggle with. We are 90+% female oriented. A lot of people are moms, so content about back to school struggles,
Sure,
camp struggles, or your daily life of having children struggles. And we provide convenience and we save time. Really understanding who your target audience is and gearing your community, your voice, your language to those people, and staying with that no matter what.
What I like when you talked about building a community, you were talking about, knowing who the audience is and not necessarily having to go only decorating type content, but you're saying, well, what are the surrounding things that they're dealing with? How can I not just have the bullseye, but the whole target, and use that as a way to kind of draw them in? Because I think sometimes people have a tendency to go too narrow focused with the content that they're producing when they're trying to build a community like that. And it's fine. It resonates with a very, very, very fractional amount of people. But the problem with that is, while that's good for, that specific person who is absolutely going to be the buyer, The problem is you're not getting the attention and the likes and the shares from people who are going to be potential buyers or sharing with potential buyers and all of those other things that you can get by being able to open that up a little bit more on the content side. So I appreciate that you called that out as well.
Yeah, it's important to not just sell every day.
Right.
Yeah, you want to understand what your target audience is going through, their struggles, and hopefully you appeal to that in some way. People are not transactional. People they want to get behind a brand. They want to know what you stand for. They want to know, what you guys do besides trying to sell me a box.
I think you told me that you're a big Gary Vee fan when we were talking earlier. And so am I, Gary Vaynerchuk. I feel like there's a period where when you first discover Gary Vee, you love him. And then there's a moment though where you're kind of like, all right, I'm over him, and then you rediscover him again and you're like, actually, no, this is genius. And one of the books that the book that hooked me on him a long time ago was Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it very much is about that same concept where, if you're always going for the right hook in any of your content, where you're like, hey, buy today, buy this, buy, it's overwhelming to people. It doesn't feel correct to, building a community. But if you're a jab, and, the jab is almost more like giving up some value there. So it's like, here's value, here's value, here's value, here's value, here's the right hook. Let me go for the ask. And I think there's something to that, even still today, and being able to find out how do you do that within the context of each different social platform, because it's a little bit different on the different platforms, and being able to recognize the nuances within those.
Yeah, he's a great follow. And I understand what you're saying about you get sucked in and you're like, okay, enough. He's there every day, but you don't even know what he's selling, but you're paying attention to. I don't even know what products the guy is selling. Obviously, he's got his digital marketing companies. He's got his investments and private equity and the brands that he's working for. But his information is amazing. I think I'm a little older than he is. The fact that he was doing this 20 years ago on the social side and was way ahead of it. I was too busy, not focused on digital marketing. I kind of watched it come along and was like, oh, that's nice. And I'm like grinding out, making sales and stuff like that. The fact that he got into it so early and he saw it and believe. It's not only he sees stuff, he believes in it. And he's willing to share that with the world. And I think he puts all that out there into the world. And obviously the world is coming back to him. I've seen his following grow, 100 times on LinkedIn and other. I follow him. I think he puts out amazing content. And I feel like it's authentic. I feel like it doesn't look like he's putting it out for any other reason than to just be authentic. And I'm sure that's what he wants us to feel, but it feels authentic to me. So I like it.
Yep. Yeah. And without going too far down a Gary Vee tangent here, but I'm also in his Discord server for his V friends. So I'm big into crypto and NFT, and I do have V friends, V2 or whatever, but I really appreciate what he's doing in that space as well. And the first VCon that he had was in Minneapolis.
Yeah,
I was able to go, which was pretty cool.
Was that 3 years ago?
Boy, I think just 2 years ago, but it might be 3 years ago.
It's hard to keep track. Right after COVID.
Yeah,
I saw that. That's amazing. Was it in the Mall of Americas, or where was that? Where was that?
No, it was in one of the stadiums, and I can't remember which one now.
The Timberwolves Stadium?
It might have been. I'm honestly, I'm drawing a blank on which stadium it was now, because like you said, that was kind of a blur. I don't know if you feel this way, but post-COVID, I feel like there's a lot of things that I can't even remember what I was doing or where we were at or what was going on. There was just a whirlwind.
The last 3 years have been an absolute blur.
Yep. So, you've helped us understand a little bit more about some of the things that you're doing to acquire customers and some of the things that you have done to expand those customers. What about, I think you talked to me about, when you started getting into content, you talked to me a little bit about before the content that you produce that helps people feel like they can do this. And I think that's kind of where I wanted to key into then a little bit here as well. That a lot of times people have content out there that has made people feel alienated from being able to actually do this. And one of the things that you realized was, in order for people to be able to buy your products, they have to feel capable of using them. And so you guys started producing content like that. What was the realization there that helped you to establish that? And then how have you gone about creating that content?
So in one of the early surveys that we had, we asked the question of, why do you subscribe to Decocrated? What's your reason? And we let people write in their reasons until we saw a pattern of what they were saying. And then future surveys, we actually put, boxes. Okay. And what we determined was, people buy our subscription, buy our service. Either, there's three reasons: they need help decorating, they just can't get enough of home decor, and the third is they just love subscription boxes. It's like they have to have every subscription box that people are talking about. Three reasons. And after we identified those three reasons in the future surveys, we realized that 50% of the people that are buying our box need help decorating. And it just blew our minds.
Sure.
Because I had been, our company's been selling to Home Goods and a lot of other home stores over the years, and we just assumed everybody that walks in there knows what they're doing. I mean, if you ever walked into a Home Goods and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spend an hour going in circles, because it's a treasure hunt, and you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to walk out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that. They go in there and they go, this is, it's overwhelming, and they walk out. And 50% of our customers need help decorate. So we're like, what are we going to do with that? We're going to build content. We did a lot of Facebook Lives. It started during the pandemic, where we would remote from people's houses. We started talking about toilet paper, paper towels, stocking up on groceries. And that kind of led to like, hey, let's, hey, so-and-so, can you take a box home with you and decorate your living room? Well, it's not the nicest, whatever. I'm like, just turn your camera and take your cell phone and just show people that you're just a regular person, and decorate your house with it. And people are like, oh my God, that's great. And we started doing that. And then we started building segments on YouTube called Deco Dives, where we dive into every box and how to decorate. Our blog strategy is how to decorate each piece in the box 3 to 4 different ways. Whether your house is modern farmhouse, boho, modern, like that's basically the core that we live in, is mostly not modern. I'm taking modern out of the question. The big three are modern farmhouse, boho. That's like 80% of 90% of our customers. So we decorate the products with that. Then we got into, like, as we launched holiday boxes and as we launched the shop that we have, we started decorating the box with the holiday box and the shop items, giving people something you can't get on Wayfair, something you can't get watching a TV show, because the TV show, even though they're sponsored by this brand and that brand, you're not really having access to a shop where they like to say shop the look. A lot of e-com sites are doing shop the look now and kind of building off of that, but people are still uncomfortable with that. So by building content around what we learned about our customer, what their desires are and their needs are, we also built an expanded booklet that goes in every box. Some companies will give you like a 1-pager of what's in the box, and our booklet's like 30 pages. You flip through it, and it's like a catalog to one of those furniture catalogs that you get in the mail, and it shows you how to style this piece with that piece, this holiday box with this piece. We also show you how to style this season's box with last season's box and last year's box. So you don't feel like, okay, I'm going to buy a box. What am I going to do with it in a year? Not everything can be styled season to season. If it's very specific to the season, you're going to put it away for a year. But we try to do a mix of seasonal and everyday to increase the value of the box. Some people love just throwing up Halloween and they want the box to be exactly that. And that's what we have our holiday boxes for. But some people, when they invest in a seasonal box, they want a little bit of fall and a little bit of winter, but they want to know that, hey, I can use this in spring and summer. Why am I paying X for a box where I got to put everything away and then shelve it? I can't use it. So we realized, hey, let's give them value by giving them a box they can use mostly year round. Let's give them a how-to styling guide. Let's give them some content in our community and our YouTube and Instagram about how to design with what we do. What's interesting about our Facebook community is, and we learned this early on, I'll never forget very early on when I, used to live and die by every comment in the community. And I'm like, oh, they don't like us or whatever. I would sit there on a Friday night, like looking at our community of, thousands of people commenting on something and see one bad comment. And I'd start crying. I'm not crying, but I start getting upset about it. But I'll never forget a person, and this is really is our mission, but it like turned into more than that when we started seeing people actually in the community and using it the right way, which was they got a box. I think it was our fall 2019 box, because I remember a specific metal piece in it. And so we're about less than a year into this thing. Like the first 2 seasons, we were like, yeah, we can do this. And we didn't have a lot of boxes sold out like that. And then we started to invest. So I would say fall is like 2019 is when we really started to take off. And this woman in the community types, I've never done anything like this before on social media. I'm not, sure if I should post this picture of my room before and after, because I've never decorated before. And everybody in the community was like, yeah, just show it. They type in and like, yeah, go ahead, you show it. And she posts this picture and everybody's like, great job, awesome. You did an amazing job. It wasn't Joanna Gaines looking. It wasn't like Fixer Upper and Magnolia and everybody's going to hire her to be on the next. It was just a regular person.
Yeah.
With aspirations of taking a wall and making it a little bit better with our products and having a community of people to give them a thumbs up and encouragement. And that's all it took for her. And I saw that and I'm like, wow, okay, maybe we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And maybe this is why we built the community. We built the community for her. And that's what it's there for.
I think that's huge. I really like that idea of being able to allow the community to exist as its own organic presence versus being overly curated by you. And I think it's really important that you called out the idea of having content that teaches people how to use the stuff that you're supplying them with. Because I can see how this makes sense for, again, any brand. If you're a coffee brand, you could sell the coffee, but what if you also have the content that shows them how to make the perfect cup of coffee, or, any number of things, or whatever your brand might be. I can see where there's value in creating content that helps them use the products you're selling, and being a part of a community like that where they can do it and get that feedback from somebody saying, you did it. Great job. Keep up the good work. What if you also try this? What would happen if you do this? Right. And just allowing that to begin to help them transform what they're doing. So good job for seeing that. That's really cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to make some dumb analogy about teaching somebody how to fish. And I'm like,
I like dumb analogies. Go for it.
He's from Minnesota. He knows about ice fishing. Where they say like, if you teach somebody how to fish, they'll be able to fish for the rest of their life and get their own food. It's similar to that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at recalling exact analogies, but if you teach them how to use your product, and you can keep a customer for a long time. Like I'll go into Shopify and I'll look. By the way, we did transition eventually from WordPress to Shopify like 5 years ago. Thank God.
Nice.
You go in. I'll sporadically go in and look at the orders and customers, and I'll click on a person's name, and I'm like, since 2018, you're getting a box from us since the second box that we ever launched.
Wow.
100 orders, and I'm like, God bless. And like,
yeah,
we must have taught them how to fish because they keep coming back for more. So I see that. I see little bits and pieces where it makes us happy that we're doing this, and people can feel a little bit more comfortable about decorating their homes. And there's a why to what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
People appeal to that.
I like that. One of the things that I like to do on the show here as well is to get into the personal side of my guests. I think it's fun to see what goes on in the background. So I wanted to find out, like, who is Michael Siegel? Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was it like for you growing up? Did you have jobs? Were you an entrepreneur from the very beginning? You're out there, hustling lemonade, or, how did you get your start there as a child?
I wasn't an early entrepreneur. I didn't have a paper route. I didn't stand outside in the summer with a lemonade stand. I was an athlete. I played a lot of sports. So I was always on a team, working with people, trying to get better at whatever sport I was playing. I grew up as a golfer. My dad was a former minor league baseball catcher in New York City, and he played with like I think Yogi Berra back in the day.
No kidding.
Not Yogi Berra. That's dating him. Joe Torre was the guy that he played with. Joe Torre ended up winning a lot of World Series as the Yankees manager in the 90s. So my dad got fascinated with golf. And so he's from the city of New York. They didn't play much golf in the 50s and 60s. So growing up on Long Island, he's like, you're going to play golf. I'm like, okay. And it got me into golf. I got hooked on golf. And I played golf from the time I was like 7 till I was 18. I played competitively. I traveled around all over the New York City area, tri-state area, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. Played a lot of golf. I did that.
No kidding.
I played soccer, travel soccer. So my desire was more sports-based and being on a team and achieving that than, the entrepreneurship. But I would say in comparison, the competition is that aspect is the same thing. What drives you to be successful and to grow and to win and to compete, it's the same thing. So there's a long list of professional athletes, and I wasn't professional by any means, but a long list of professional athletes that turned entrepreneurial, like Michael Jordan, Roger Staubach. Your audience probably doesn't even know who he is, but Roger Staubach was a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys in the 60s and 70s, won Super Bowls. The guy's worth like $800 million from real estate. Wow. Nobody would know anything. I am sure that being the captain of the Dallas Cowboys, being a quarterback, you have to have abilities that are innate, and also you develop those skills that take you. When he retired, like he was 32 years old, they didn't make it. When he played football, he didn't make any money playing in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
not like they did today. The guy's worth $800 million because of real estate. So what you can learn playing sports is very similar to what you can learn in a paper route.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's one thing that my wife and I talk about is each one of our daughters, I want them to play at least one team sport. And I specifically say one team sport. They could do other sports that are not team sports. Pick one that's a team sport. Because I've even recognized within my own hiring or things like that, and other businesses that I've worked at, that I feel like you can almost sometimes tell the people who didn't play a team sport, maybe just don't understand how teams functions, and there's different roles, and this is your position in within the team, and how that works. And if you don't get, for instance, basketball was my sport, but it's like, well, if you're the post, if you're number 5 and you're not down there to get the rebound because you decided to jump out and take the 3, who's getting the rebound? And things like that, right? Where it's like, okay, well, how do you fit within this team and in the organizational structure? And so I really appreciate all of the things and the lessons that you can learn from sports as well.
I will tell you, like when I've hired my share of people over the years, if I see on a resume that you played travel, soccer, baseball, softball, it's amazing. Like the person is just, sometimes they're at a different level because they're competitive and they know how to work on a team. They're committed. They've been a part of something bigger than themselves. Like those are great people to have on your team.
Yeah, completely agree. What about, what do you fear? Is there something, you're somewhat fearless to be able to just jump in and do your own thing, but is there something that you do fear?
My wife.
Oh no. Why do you fear your wife?
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
She's amazing. I mean, she doesn't get enough credit.
So true.
She's like my therapist. What do I fear? Letting people down.
Yeah.
Letting people on my team down and letting my customers down. I do fear that. We don't try to let people down. Things get in the way. Technology has been a struggle for us. I told you about the transition from WordPress to Shopify and transition from one subscription platform to another. You do let people down, and sometimes it's completely out of your control. You forget the technology doesn't ship them a box because it doesn't make its way from the subscription into Shopify into your shipping platform. And you're like, what the heck? Or you ship them 2 boxes, or they canceled and they still got a box.
Sure.
All these things that sometimes are out of your control, and you're trying to manage everything internally. Sometimes you don't have a lot of control when you're dealing with technology, and when you let people down, you try to explain it, and they don't give a what. And I'm so sorry. We know we canceled you out, but you got a box, and we still charged you. So letting people down, fearful, letting the team down, very fearful of that. Those things.
Yeah. I think that's something that every entrepreneur can resonate with. We don't, that's partly why we do what we do is because we want to make sure that we're able to provide something to people. And if that fails in any way, even on small micro failures or small micro, just like missteps, letting somebody down, it's brutal.
Yes.
How do you deal with stress? Being an entrepreneur is stressful. Like you said, like you read a bad comment and, it can bring you to tears, or it can at least ruin your Friday night right before you go on a date night with your wife. So how do you deal with the stress of running the business?
I would say I used to let things build up, and I would take things more personally years ago, especially in a new endeavor, in a new space, new industry for us. I would say new industry, digital marketing, direct to consumer. Then you get a little confidence and you get comfortable. Okay, you're going to have those people. They live there. They're always there. No matter what you do, they're always there. You just want to have enough people that like you, and that's good. And how do I deal with stress? Because I still have a ton of it. I work out 5-6 days a week. We travel. I do work a lot. I work weekends. Even when I'm traveling, I work a lot because it's a reliever for me. I do try to break away, but it's a lot of travel and work. I play pickleball, not today because I'm recovering from knee surgery. If you're going to play pickleball, just be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. It's causing a lot of injuries for my age, but I love it. It's addicting, and playing sports, keeping active. I've got 2 adult children, 2 girls. They just graduated college. One's going to go to law school. Just keeping busy. A tight group of friends. Not a huge group, but a nice tight group. And travel and I work. I'm always working. As entrepreneurs, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you. You're always working, but you're okay with it.
Yeah, you enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yes, for sure.
Yeah, because you want to win.
You want to win, and you want to be proud of what you're doing.
Yeah,
that causes winning, then that's great.
Yep, that's fair. What about books or podcasts? Are there books or podcasts that you highly recommend that people read, or maybe it has nothing to do with marketing and growing a business at all, but you're like, well, I like to read these books instead. What kind of books or podcasts do you like to read or listen to?
So I'm not a big podcast person, but I do, except for yours. I do.
I appreciate that. Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. I do. Got into history books. I got into. I love Vince Flynn books, where it's like one detective taking on the world and solving major congressional terrorist stuff. I love stuff like, because I get lost in the book. I use it as a release. I can read them pretty quickly. From a business standpoint, the last book I read that I really, really liked was Burn the Boats by Matt Higgins. I thought it was very, very well written. I actually sent him a note to thank him for writing the book, and he wrote back to me.
Did he? I was going to ask that. He wrote back. What did he say?
He said, awesome, because we're both from New York,
Nice.
I was born in Queens. He's born in Queens. I saw that in his history. And he wrote back. He was very appreciative. Really good book. The gist of it is, give it everything you got. Don't have a plan B when you're younger. Give it everything you got. And if you choose to do whatever it is that you choose to do, that you're all in. If you're running a digital marketing company, run that digital marketing company and be all in. Because when you have a plan B in your mind, you're not going to be all in. You're always going to be like, okay, if this doesn't work out, I can segue to this. If you have that in your brain, it won't work out for you. So his philosophy is go all in, burn the boat. And the philosophy of burn the boats is, I think it goes back to and this is where the history part of me really likes this kind of stuff, but it goes back to the days of the Vikings and Romans, whenever they were going to take a land and they came on a boat, the general would burn the boat that you're supposed to escape and leave on. So he would burn the boats. So signifying to all the people that just arrived, if you don't take this land, you got nothing.
Wow.
You have no way to escape. So that is, if you see his book, and it's a big boat burning on the cover, that is the idea behind the burning the boats. It's like, get rid of that in your head. Okay, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go over here. Be strategic about it. Don't be stupid about it. Don't hitch your wagon to something that is not working. And stay with it too long to where you have nothing left. But if you have something that is a good product, good service, and you believe in it, and other people look at it and say, yeah, there's something there, it's just go all in and don't stop and don't think about plan B. So I thought it was a great book. I thought it was, I read it in like 3 days, which usually takes me like 3 weeks to read a book if I'm going to read one. But
it's a powerful image. It is. You think about that idea of if you want this to be a success, burn the boat. Like there is no turning back. Go. Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's a good book.
Who else do you like to follow in this space? We talked about Gary Vee. Is there anybody else that you like to follow that's helped you build your business?
I network with a bunch of people in the subscription space. We do have a shared Slack channel. We've gotten to know each other. We'll bounce ideas off of each other. Hey, what are you using for this? And what are you using for that? As far as follow, I'm a LinkedIn person. I'm not an Instagram person or a Facebook person. I think my mother and I connected on Facebook. This is the weirdest thing because I'm never on there. I didn't even know she was on Facebook. And she sent me a text message like, hey, can you accept me? I'm like, when did you get on Facebook? How long ago did this happen? So I'm not even on Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm on there, but I'm not even paying attention to it, or Instagram. I pay attention to Instagram, our feeds. I understand it. But I'm a big fan of LinkedIn because I think there's a lot of valuable content on there. And I do learn a lot from I follow John David's Influencidity. He's got really good, amazing content. Neil Patel, he and I know him. Eric Shu from Single Grain. I've been to a couple of his Level Up master classes. I thought that was amazing to meet people like that and just on another level of digital capabilities. It's, I went to a Level Up and I'm like the oldest person in the room, like a dinosaur. People are coming up to me and they want to touch me like, oh my God, are you a fossil? And these people are like talking about SEO and they're like in their mid 20s. And, I'm doing SEO and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this. Like, okay, sounds interesting, but it's pretty much the same thing, right? About, selling and customer this and this acquisition. And It's pretty much the same. You go into a room like that and you feel like when you're a little older, you feel like intimidated, but then you realize they want to learn more from you than you're learning from them. And that was really cool to be able to do that. So I follow a lot of people. Alex Hormozy, I don't know him, but I think it's interesting what he does. Him and his wife, she seems to be pretty formidable too. About just they give you the confidence that you can take on these challenges, and they give amazing information that I have.
Yeah.
I've gotten my digital marketing MBA through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And through experiencing the ups and downs of running a digital direct-to-consumer business. You definitely get more than what you get in a classroom. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. Alex reminds me so much of the Brawny Man. I actually made a fun little image of him where he's got the full beard there and he had a flannel shirt on there. And so
the breathe right strip across his nose.
Yeah. When I took his image and I put it on like a package of like Brawny paper towels. I was like, this is him. Unfortunately he didn't see it, but maybe one day. But also you're talking about a couple of,
you should send him a box of that.
I should. There you go.
Send him a box.
That's hilarious. Print it off and send it to him. You know what? You actually may have inspired me to do that. That might be something I do.
Take another step.
I like that. And then you're talking about a couple of my friends there, Neil Patel and Eric Sue. So one of my best friends is Sujin Patel. We worked together for a while. He moved to Minnesota and had a lot of fun together. And so, Sujin was actually the one who started Single Grain, and then Eric took that over from him. Okay. And so I'm right there with you. A couple of very, very smart guys in the space and offer up tons of value, which is really good and encouraging to follow along as well. So
the one thing I've noticed in this space is that there are so many people who will work with you and try to help you for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no benefit necessarily to them except, just kind of extolling their wisdom on you. And it's pretty interesting. I never got that. You don't get that in the retail world. I can tell you that. Nobody's trying to help you land the Walmart account who's a competitor of yours or anything like that. So the other people that are trying to land a Walmart account for you or a salesperson trying to make a commission on it.
Yeah, right.
So all this free knowledge and information, it's exciting. I mean, if you're, very young, you're starting out, you're used to that. But as somebody who's got a little seasoned like me, you're not used to free information.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was always like, a friend of a friend would introduce you to someone who was a consultant, and then they would be like, okay, it's a 3-month commitment and it's $4,000 a month, and I'll teach you how to sell it to retail. And it was like a contract and all that stuff. And you would try it because you didn't know anything. There was no social media to say this guy's a dope or this thing is not going to work. There's so much free information out there that people you guys are lucky today to grab that knowledge. It really helps you trim that learning curve tremendously. And people should take advantage of it. And you guys do. Like a lot of people in this space that I'm following, they're young. You guys are young and you guys are hungry. And, I know there's a lot of stuff about certain millennials or Gen Zs and like bullshit. They're not lazy. They're killing it. They just don't want to work in an office making $10 an hour.
Sure.
They want to go after it. They see these people going after it and they're making money and making a killing and they're going after it. So kudos to that whole group. And I'm just sitting there going like this, listening, getting my tidbits and trying to absorb it as much as I can. And it's funny. My wife and I, same age. She'll text me like 8 TikToks a day. We're older. We're not the TikTok demographic. She's like, "Do you see this and what they're doing? And you should try this and you should try that." My wife she's sending me TikToks. Yeah, it's rabbit hole after rabbit hole of ideas and this and see what this guy's doing and that guy's doing. And it's like the hard part today is like, how do you sift through it all and figure out what the heck is valuable 100%. And what is, snake oil, which is, I think, a very old reference. I don't know if anyone understands.
I'm right there with you, though. I understand it. Hopefully everybody else does. I think that you're exactly right. That's the key now is there's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of knowledge. You have no excuse not to know what you need to know. It's just a matter of like sifting through it. And then I'd say the biggest piece is just take action then. You know enough likely at this point in time. Just go do it and put it to work and see what happens and see what kind of results you get and iterate from there. But if you never get started, then you're never going to get to learn that. So
I think for your listeners, and I think you're tapping into a good spot here is that you got to try stuff. Yeah. Over and over. You're not going to hit it out of the park. If you have a good product and you got good service, you got that figured out. But from the digital marketing side, okay, you want to try this influencer group, or you want to try this technology, or this one says they promise lead generation, and this, you got to keep trying. Till you this growth company or that growth company. Okay, let's go. Let's run. Let's do it. Okay, it's not working out. 90 days, 120 days. Let's go. Pivot to something else. You got to try it until you find what works for you.
And then once you do, burn the ships.
Burn the boats.
Burn the boats. Hey, Michael, it's been really good having you here. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom with us, sharing your time. If people wanted to follow you or connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that aside from following you on TikTok?
I don't have a big presence on social, but you can find me on LinkedIn. You can message me on LinkedIn. You can look for me. I'm on it all the time. I'm not the best follow in the world, but I'd be happy to set up a conversation with anybody that's interested in talking and learning. Mention William Harris, and I'll set up time to talk to people and try to help somebody out.
Cool. I appreciate that. Thanks again for coming out here today.
Thanks for having me. This was great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Up Arrow podcast with William Harris. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.